I was asked recently if safety camera vehicles in North Yorkshire actually reduced the incidence of speeding. Lots of anecdotal evidence that they do. I thought, oh, just have a look at the figures and see if that is true, and by how much. And that's what this little video is about. The other thing I was concerned with it has got nothing to do with safety camera vehicles. This is about police pursuits, and that takes up the second part of the video. Well, when you're looking at to see if these safety camera vehicles have reduced the number of speeders, there's lots of things you have to take into consideration. You know, what the weather was like, and what time the van was there, whether it was the school holidays, so on and so forth. And also you need masses of statistics. So just looking at sites where there were few visits was meaningless. But a good example is at Aisenby, which is a very frequently occupied place, and these are the violations an hour, and it's done by months. This is 2016, 17, and over there is 18, and you can quite clearly see that there is a distinct fall in the numbers of speeders at Aisenby over those 3 years. But it's not always the case. Just ignore this one. I think there were only 4 visits in June, and one of them was extreme, so that's a sort of an anomalous result, which we talked about in an earlier video. These are the figures for an equally well occupied site, Whitwell Hill on the A64, which is quite a dangerous road, and you can see there that there was no visit that particular day, and I think there was only one or a couple of visits there. But you can see there that, you know, there's nothing really statistically significant to show that there has been a decrease in the number of speeders at Whitwell Hill. Obviously in the summertime much more traffic, so many more speeders. So in 2017 it became pretty obvious that this safety camera vehicle operation in North Yorkshire was going to become a sort of net drain on police resources. So, costed more than they were making, and in December 2017 they decided they would target the A1M, 2 sites at Ingmanthorpe and Boroughbridge, north and bound and southbound, and very successful in terms of clocking speeders, and they provided a sort of welcome boost to the coffers, back in the black. But it's only delaying the inevitable. I mean, as motorists wise up to the cameras, they reduce their speed, and the fall in the numbers of speeders at Boroughbridge and Ingmanthorpe has been quite dramatic. 33% at Boroughbridge and 22% at Ingmanthorpe in just 1 year. And just have a look at the graphs. There are the figures for Ingmanthorpe. February, April and June seem to have been particularly bad months if you're a motorist, but good months if you're North Yorkshire Police, as far as income was concerned anyway. and that's the one for Boroughbridge. So although the overall figure is down 30%, there's a sort of worrying increase there over the last 3 months of 2018. A number of forces are using this new long ranger camera, which was trialled by Gloucester Police, but I noticed that Humberside are now using them, and they have a range of, oh, goodness knows how far. But again, motorists will wise up to this, and the numbers will fall. The number of speeders will fall. And just looking at the January-February figures for this year compared with last year, there's been a 36% fall in the number of speeders, with obviously a corresponding loss in income. The problem is what happens when we're back at the 2017 situation, when expenditure overtakes income. Will they continue to run 13 vehicles? Will they increase the council tax to make up the difference? Or given that they've made absolutely no difference to the KSI statistics, what would be the justification for continuing with them? I mean, as it says there, it's a bit ironic in that these safety camera vehicles are there to reduce speeding, and yet they rely on motorists speeding to pay for the operation. It's a funny old business. So there's, these safety camera vehicles do reduce the incidence of speeding, and there's overwhelming evidence that to show that, as it says there, the concerns of motorists, which are these SCVs, are sort of money-making sneaky beakies. I mean, those concerns are justified, but I mean, you know that. And if you don't want to be a statistic on that police database, then obviously you just don't break the speed limit. There's no excuse. But sadly, safety camera vehicles, although they reduce the incidence of speeding, they've done absolutely nothing to reduce the incidence where people are killed and seriously injured. If you look at the national picture, this is not just a problem for North Yorkshire. This is a problem nationally. Despite all the claims and propaganda to the contrary by the police and there's lots of other organisations like ROSPA and so on, these current long-running policies, to reduce all accidents, they've just been an abject failure. I mean, they cost the travelling public hundreds of millions of pounds and lots of disruption to their lives. So they're entitled to be annoyed, and you just have a look at the statistics from the Department of Transport for 5 years up to 2017. So here are the national statistics for all accidents from the Department of Transport. Here's the percentages. So these are the fatal accidents running between 14 and 16%. caused by exceeding the speed limit. These are serious accidents, slight accidents, and this is all accidents. And you can see, just looking at that, the current policy has made enough all difference to any of them. Despite what they claim. All those men climbing into all those vehicles with safety cameras for 5 years, together with all the other fixed cameras and traffic policemen, and they made absolutely no difference whatsoever to the figures. There has to be another way. Well, the second part of the video deals with police pursuits. I don't know whether you're familiar with it, but I recently watched a programme called Traffic Cops, just made by Channel 5, about traffic police in North Yorkshire. And of course, living in North Yorkshire, quite interesting to see what the police do on the roads, which are quite familiar. And there was a lot to recommend it. They do a lot of good work. But there was one thing was really disturbing, and this was this question of police pursuits. And there were, in this latest series, which is Series 6, there were 3 of them stood out. Absolutely horrendous. The worst was in episode 11, which involved a 15-mile terrifying chase of a stolen VW Golf. Episode 14 was nearly as bad. Again, involved another Volkswagen Golf which had no MOT, which was the result of which caused the pursuit. And as it turned out, there was a kid in the back of the car. And another one was in pursuit of a stolen Audi TT at over 100 miles an hour on the hard shoulder of the M62. And I'm given to understand, when I mentioned this, that there are several others which are equally extreme. As it says there, it's frightening to think that these pursuits can be instigated by the police quite simply because a vehicle has been pinched, or one is lacking documents and MOT and insurance. I mean, if these cars are ploughed into other cars or pedestrians and caused death or serious injury, simply to in pursuit of a car worth about 20,000 quid, or one lacking an MOT or insurance, I mean, it's just a madness. In October last year, North Yorkshire Police sent this out on their blog, showing that the fastest speed the cameras recorded in the 30 zone was 82 miles an hour on the Weatherby Road at Harrogate. And as the policeman says there, no pedestrian would survive being hit by a car travelling at that speed, and death would probably be instantaneous. It's an horrendous thought. It would have been even more horrendous if behind this car was a police car in pursuit of it. And in that Channel 5 programme, the stolen Volkswagen and the pursuing police car were doing all of that, 82 miles an hour. Now, whilst the police might be competent drivers at that speed in heavy traffic, as it turned out, the VW drivers were quite competent as well, but it could have been horrendous. And it would have been appalling if a pedestrian had been killed, or anyone had been killed or seriously injured as a consequence of that pursuit. Not only that, the police who were pursuing would have to deal with the aftermath of it, and even worse, their colleagues would have to sort of clear up a dreadful mess. As one traffic policeman says, and it's often quoted, if you saw what I saw, you'd slow down. But how would he feel with having to deal with the aftermath of a death caused by a police pursuit by his colleagues? And there are some frightening statistics. In 14 years to 2018, 259 people were killed as a direct result of police pursuits in the United Kingdom, according to Statista. And in 2016, 22 deaths were caused by police pursuits, none of which were in response to an emergency, according to the Independent Police something committee. And these deaths have tripled in the last 3 years compared with 10 years ago. And then this year started off really badly. In just 4 days in January, this Paul Radcliffe was killed in Leicester, Holly Burke was killed in the West Midlands, a refugee from Eritrea, she was killed in Walthamstow, and Jessie Whitehead, an elderly, was killed in a sort of electric buggy in Warwickshire. And then again on the 10th of February, those 2 young people there were killed when they were chased down into the wrong carriageway in London. Anyway, I wouldn't like to think it was going to happen in North Yorkshire. We'll see you again. Take care. Bye bye.